Hello, I'm the host of Wow Podcast. My name is Darshaun, a.k.a. If you typically listen to this podcast on audio-only platforms, well, rest assured, there's a link in the description that takes you to the video format of this podcast interview. Now, let's get on with our special guest. Let's get right into it. Listen, a lot of times what gives me the accreditation, if you will, and the representation. Hello, I'm the host of Wow Podcast. My name is Darshaun. And it's going down like this.
Big Red helps me around the house. My dream car happens to be a 13 Tundra. What's yours?
Anything else you got to say? Any words of maybe encouragement or words of hope?
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night at whatever time you may view this particular live stream. I am your host, Darshaun, a.k.a, and we have a special guest. We have Larry Smith III. I spoke to Larry maybe about 3-4 years ago, and he was talking about his book. And, after a certain while, we started connecting, and he was asking, like, hey, how do I get my books inside of Walmart? So we're going to do something very special. He has a movie coming out, and it's based off the book, The Other Side of Ecstasy. So he reached out to me and said, hey, man, I got a movie trailer coming out. Can we do an interview? I say, yeah, greatly. Let's do that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring up Larry Smith III, and let's talk to him and see what's going on with him. Larry, how you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm doing all right, man. Just taking it one day at a time, trying to keep one foot in front of the other.
For sure. So let's talk about The Other Side of Ecstasy, the book, a little bit to transition into the movie. So just tell everybody what The Other Side of Ecstasy, the book, is about, and what the movie is going to be about as well.
Well, the memoir, The Other Side of Ecstasy, is basically a short story on an event that took place in my life in 2004, where I, in my early life, I was like, I took drugs or like ecstasy, and it actually gave me a bad, chemical reaction in the brain. And so, during that little phase, I was close to being bedridden, for the entire year of 2004. And a lot happened within that year. I had a lot of time to find myself, and, I was very closed off from the world. I was, I shut myself off from family. I was, highly paranoid, and it had a lot to do with, leading up to, I like to speak about, the diagnosis that I was diagnosed with because of taking ecstasy, which is schizophrenia, which is my driving factor to why I, work so hard and write a lot, So that's, pretty much like the book is about, like, the phase that it took me through after I took the drug,
Okay. So what's your goal for the movie?
My goal for the movie is to get it on, like, distribution channels where they can distribute it on TV, and hopefully I'm going to enter it into a film Indie Night Film Festival and other film festivals to see, pretty much what I can get out of it, like how the people take it.
Got you. So as of lately, man, what have been your goals as an author? Because I know you have, like, 4 or 5 books on Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So what's been your goals lately?
My goal, one of my main goals is to really become a bestseller, man, and try to work my way up to, getting getting with a major publishing house. That's, ultimately that's sometimes one of the driving factors for a writer, is to, like, be a bestseller. And I don't like to let those titles, like, hold me back if I don't get it, but I'm going to continue working hard until I can become a bestseller or, reach a platform like a publishing house. And, another goal I would like to do majorly is to make Oprah's book club. I've been following her a lot, and, I don't really want it. I don't really want that any of that given to me. I want to actually earn it and work my way there, because I know that it'll be rightfully due to me, once if I work for it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You've been at this for a while, man. Throughout the years, the past 3 or 4 years, we've been talking behind the scenes on
Mhm.
how to get your book in certain places. And, just telling you like a little tidbits here and there, and whatnot. But I see that you have been taking some of my advice. I hope I've been extremely transparent with you on how I went about doing it and what you need to do. I did notice that the book covers that you have on Walmart, they're very different. You figured it out. You figured out how to capture that eye, man. Because I saw your books, I was like, okay, I see what he's doing. I like that. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand, like, before anybody read anything, they have to see it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me this, man. What's your favorite quote?
The favorite quote, what is by what's this Napoleon? I believe it's Napoleon Hill, and it's the person. How does it go? The person who I believe it's the person who works. The person who does more than what he is paid will soon be paid for more than what he does. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Got you. For sure, for sure. So as an author myself, we typically, we think a lot. We're also thinking about like the next book, the next big sale. What would you like to accomplish in the next 5 years as a writer?
The next 5 years will be to trying to create a buzz around my movies, because most of my movies that I'm going to shoot in the next 2 to 3 years is all of these movies are going to be based on the books that I've written. That's the reason why I started my film company, Mustard Seed Films Entertainment, so I can start filming the movies on the books that I've written.
Got you. So what advice would you give an amateur writer?
My solid advice would be don't take no for an answer, because rejection is going to come at you at a flying rate. So don't be afraid of that. Don't let it stagnate you. And just what else I would say, do your research, and also keep a circle of writers around you that are actually doing a lot better than you. Like, for example, when I met you, you have been like, the best word I can use for it is the blueprint for what I do. You have been the blueprint. Like, you've shown me ways that I can do. And one thing about, you have to be a person that if you take information from someone, you have to utilize it. And that's what I did. I found a way to make it work for me, like as far as Walmart.com and stuff like that.
Yeah. You know what? And I thank you for that, man. That's why I wanted to hurry up and do the interview, because you had reached out via Instagram. And when I saw that your books were on Walmart, I would say, man, he's probably like one of the 5 people that actually took my advice and was like, did it. And so now I feel accomplished, because I'm like, okay, somebody finally took what I said and they went to go do it. You know what I'm saying? And so to see your books there, man, it's like being on Walmart in today's time is like the Hall of Fame, because everybody book it doesn't make it there. So when you tell people like, hey, I got books on Walmart.com, that's a big deal, because Walmart is primarily everywhere. They do the same thing. It's better than being on Amazon, if you ask me, because Walmart just has more credit than Amazon. But man, when I saw your books on there, I was so happy for you. I was like, man, we got to do this interview. And then when I saw the movie trailer, I was like, yo, he's been grinding. I saw your documentary. So I was like, yo, he's been doing his thing. Like, he's really serious about this. So I know for a fact that whatever you're doing is working for you. It takes some time, but it's working, man. It's definitely working, man. So I really do appreciate you for taking my advice and running with it, because a lot of people don't do it. They just throw in the towel, and you took the towel back and was like, yeah, I'm gonna finish it to the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely. The thing is, if you don't let no's and setbacks make you quit, you'll eventually get to where you need to be.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So since you're diving into the movie world, you're pretty much coming like a director and a producer. What's your next move as a film producer?
My next move is to film the movie on the book that I published in 2021, which is Black Gold Down Under, which is a story, a fiction story I created about, an African American family who lived in a small town in Texas, which is Crosby, Texas, and they found out that they had oil on their land and stuff like that. So I basically built the story around that, and I'm working with a production company right now, and they actually are gonna get back with me, and they're letting me know that they'd like to work with me and see what can happen with this film as far as where we can get it to if we work
Gotcha.
together.
So I got a couple questions about the movie side of things.
Mhm.
Is it expensive, or is it like, do they negotiate with you?
I'm gonna be honest with you. You got it's a hit and miss thing. You got to keep reaching out to different production companies to see who actually wants to work with you, because everybody doesn't have funding, and sometimes people are looking for a budget that you have, and then sometimes people, if they think that you have something that is worth their while, they'll work with you, and producing it. But like what I did was basically just hire a filmmaker. That's how I'm starting, you know what I'm saying, but I'm going into like working with production companies. But like I just got to the point where, man, I got tired of like trying to go to people for something, and I didn't have the money to do it. So I just used the little money that I had and made it work, work for me.
For sure, for sure. Well, go
Mhm.
ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, the titles of all your books, everything that you need to let people know about your social media, what events you have going on, and
Mhm.
we'll go from there.
Yeah, my first book is called Smiling Through the Pain, and I wrote that book in 2010. My second book is The Other Side of Ecstasy, and my third book is called The Power of Achievement. My fourth book is Black Gold Down Under, and my fifth book that I just recently finished about a month or two ago is called The Search for Lydia. It's a mystery story, and it's actually going through the last phases of editing right now, and I plan to do like a TV series for that book, and all these books you can find on Walmart.com, and as far as like my social media handles, my Facebook is Larry Smith the Third, like my name, and my Instagram is author Larry Smith, and then I have I work a couple of Instagram handles. The other one is my film company, which is Mustard Seed Films Entertainment. That's my Instagram, and then a third one that I operate is called The Writing Guru 82. That's the one I use, deal, because I forgot to tell you that I have an audio book that I just released. It's
Okay.
on the power of achievement, my self-help book, and
Okay.
it's on Audible.
Okay, you've been busy. I tell you what, the search for Lydia, I had looked that up, and I was like, man, that looks like it's very interesting. So I really do hope everything takes off. But that search for Lydia, you're talking about doing a TV series, man. That's
Mhm.
some big bucks right there, man. You
Yeah,
know,
and
so
hopefully it can hopefully it can take a liking to the professional world, and see what happens. I'd actually there's two undercover, uh, what do you call it, policemen, detectives in that story, and I'd actually like to have Ice-T, act in it.
right,
The
right.
series, that would be dope.
Yeah, but yeah, put it out there, man. Make it so. Write it down and make it plain and make it so, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm your host, Darshaun McAway. We're talking to Larry Smith III. Let me say this: I caught him before he got famous, so he was doing his thing before he got big. So just give me like an extra part in the movie or something like that, man. I'm down for it, But
Man.
it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you and
Mhm.
talk to you, and thanks for taking my advice. I'm glad it worked out for you. I see your future being extremely bright. So it's absolutely my pleasure to speak with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Larry Smith III on Wild Podcast. I'm your host, Darshaun, a.k.a. We'll catch you guys on the next go round. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna do another video, and with your permission, I would love to add your documentary to this video to extend it, on the stream, if that's okay with you.
Man, I love that because one of the things that I didn't touch on in this show, what I'd like to real quickly is that my movies are not just for entertainment purposes. I'm operating from, I have a message, and I like to inspire people who suffer from mental health issues like myself with schizophrenia. And I want it to be, I want whatever them see me do, I want it to be a driving force for them, to motivate them to, because, everybody doesn't see, everybody doesn't look at mental health the same. Like, some people, they downplay it, and it's a stigma, and it's like I'm trying to fight against all that.
Absolutely. Message well taken, man. It's a big issue out here. A lot of people have a lot of personal things going on, and they don't know who to reach out to. They feel like people don't want to listen, but over here we have a listening ear. We do thank you guys for all your time and your support. Larry, just hold on real tight. I'll put you in the backstage real quickly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Larry Smith III, a great friend of the podcast, somebody who I've been talking to behind the scenes for a few years. And I'm glad he had the opportunity to achieve what I got a chance to achieve. A lot of times when we get on these big platforms, we're just trying to find out, hey, can we become multimillionaires? Can we become 100,000aires, and so on and so forth? And then when you get on the platform, you start to realize that it's a little bit different than what you thought. But what I'm happy about is the fact that he saw his vision and he's there, So if you want to be a part of the show, go ahead and hit the About section on YouTube. The website is wowpodcast.me. That's WOWPODCAST.me. I'm your host, Darshaun, a.k.a. We'll catch you guys next time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Larry Smith III, and this is my documentary called The Journey of a Gifted Writer. And what I want to do with this documentary is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, is take people inside my personal life where, it gives them a sense of more like a lens where they understand the detriments where I come from as far as being diagnosed with schizophrenia for the last 17 years. I'm an author of 4 books, and my life actually, my story actually took place in a small town called Fort Hood, Texas, in 2004. And I lived there for quite some time. And long story short is that I got into a bit of a situation where I went out one night and I went, by myself to a club, and I got introduced to a drug, to the drug ecstasy, and I went out looking for it, and that's pretty much where my life, took a turn for the worse. I only tried it. I tried it like twice, but the second time is when I knew something wasn't right, because I didn't get, the effects that everybody else said they got from it. So and that's when, everything felt different as far as mentally, and that's when I became, as the doctors would say, chemically imbalanced, and this actually affected me for the rest of my life, because I have to take medication every single day I wake up. And that's why I'm taking people inside of my personal life and showing them like that I actually author and write books under these conditions. Many people think that when they meet me that I'm an author, they think that nothing is wrong. And I'm living behind a mask because I have to portray like as if nothing is wrong. But truthfully, I have to, take these meds every day for the rest of my life, as opposed to what the psychiatrists are telling me. But I make sure that I do that, and so that way I can function under the way that I should. You know what I'm saying? So this documentary is more so about. It is also, I dedicated to those who suffer in silence around the world, who suffer from mental health conditions and feel like they're ashamed to talk about it, or feel like they're, less than, but the so-called normal world because of what they have and what they're going through. And that's where I'm coming from with this documentary.
Science reports tonight on a new and powerful illegal drug being trafficked on the nation's campuses. Some users call it a touch of ecstasy. Some researchers call it flirting with brain damage.
This part of my life is where I start to explain basically what took place after I left Fort Hood, Texas. As I said, I was bedridden for an entire year of my life that I cannot get back. And during that time, I actually tried to commit suicide, and as me being bedridden for a year, there was a time, when I was, at a hospital, and, my parents, they were the whole time they were trying to regain my focus and get me back to normal. But they called a priest into the hospital room, and the priest actually performed an exorcism on me. And it's weird till I think about it today, because I actually reacted just as the little girl in the movie, The Exorcism. And I wish you could see it, because I don't really say anything that is not true. I try not to do that, because I want to be transparent with you and what really happened to my life back then, around 2004. And another time during this time is when, after all of that, I actually felt I started building a connection with God a lot. I could say, God, I built a connection with God because I didn't have nowhere else to turn to. You know what I'm saying? And as I started building this connection with God, I started to regain my focus and my mentality. As you know, I was chemically imbalanced for an entire year. I didn't socialize with friends or family. I stayed in my room the entire time. And when I did go out, it was just to get something to eat and come back. And I secluded myself. And but as I regained my focus with God, I started to, let my parents know that I was feeling a little better. But the whole entire time, I was actually planning to take a trip somewhere. I just wanted to get away from everything because nothing felt the same. Nothing felt the same. The atmosphere was different. Socializing was different. Paranoia was at an all-time high. And, when I was planning to leave, I had to think of a way. I had to think of somewhere I could go that would actually give me my life back, and also, regain my focus. So I said, I'll go to Las Vegas, and that's what I did. I actually planned to go to Las Vegas. I bought my ticket online, but I did this when no one was in my home, because during those times when my parents would leave, I felt like how would anybody feel, spiritually or not. This is what my personal belief is, that I felt like Satan, the devil, Shaitan, I felt like he was whispering to me every time my parents left the home and making me feel guilty about how I felt, how I was. So he was basically making me feel like I should, hurt myself. You know what I'm saying? And this is the reality, and this is the thing, the mask that I have to approach. You know what I'm saying? And so after, I got past the fear, of the whispers and stuff like that from the devil, I felt like, it was time for me to leave and go somewhere else and start at a new place. So that's when I left and went to Las Vegas. And during that time, one morning, my mom would usually wake up and bring me breakfast and stuff. But, during that morning, she knocked on my door and I wasn't there. I was already gone. I crawled through the window at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I went across the street to catch a cab, and I took the cab to the Greyhound bus station, and that's when during this time, just keep in mind that during this time, I was, half of me was there and half of me wasn't mentally. So that's why, it's something that I felt that needed to be talked about and explored with the world, that people should know this, because I know there's someone out there in the world that is actually probably in their room, and this is the reality. They're somewhere locked away in their room or in jail or in prison, and they're in this thing that probably that same state of mind that I was in, and they do not know how to cope with that. So hopefully someone can show them this documentary and tell them that there is life, after, so much heartache and pain. We're out here on Wood Forest, and I came to this location so you can actually get an idea of where things took place during my life in 2004. All right, so follow me. This area here, we'll start over here. This is the apartment complex in 2004, where as many of you know of me, and as you know of me, the place where I actually took ecstasy, and I experimented with it, as a drug, and it was very devastating in my life. So this area is where I want to show everyone where I was living, during the time when I was bedridden, and I didn't really associate with friends or family like that. I was closed off to the world. This area here, after, one night, before I went to Las Vegas, I left out of my, as in my book I stated, I left and crawled out of the window at 5 in the morning. And this is where I came in this area to actually get in the cab. I caught a cab in this right here where we at right now.
It's instant love. It's like being on a cloud. It's indescribable. You have to be there. It's really ecstasy.
This is, where I pick up, where, I went to the Greyhound station and I caught a bus to Las Vegas. I remember vividly as I'm smiling because it was happy moments. I was leaving, I was getting away from everything. I didn't have to be in fear of, what people would think of me because I was looking like this, you know what I'm saying? And as I was on the bus, I just, as I was going into, I remember vividly making it into Vegas. And I was asleep. I had fell asleep, and when I woke up, all I saw was the sun, the image of the sun, and I saw a big pyramid. I believe it was the Luxor in Las Vegas. And someone said, "Is this your stop?" They woke me up, and I said, "Man," and instantly when I saw that, I felt like I was healed. I felt like God renewed my mind. It's like it felt like everything that I did is what, God aligned me to do for my purpose, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like once that happened, I got off the bus and I had my bags in both hands, and I was walking. And when I made it through, I believe it was the downtown Fremont Street in Las Vegas. I remember I let my bags down and I looked up at the sky and I saw, the screens and the movies showing how they have in Fremont, downtown Las Vegas. And man, I don't know, it just felt like I was normal again. You know what I'm saying? I don't like using the word normal, but I felt like I was normal again. And I feel like all my sadness was gone. And I felt like, I was ready to get, I was reliving the moment of being, a normal human being again. You know what I'm saying? Because I was born, normal. You know what I'm saying? But as things happened when I took ecstasy, it changed the chemistry in my brain. And that's when, when I got to Vegas, and a lot took place in Vegas that, a lot took place there. There was good moments for me and sad moments for me. But, when I got there, I even met someone, that, we had a real good relationship. Things didn't really go as planned, but it was cool, man, because I feel like God sent her to me. We had good times together, and we had fun, and that time ended. But I ended up, meeting another friend, and I ended up getting a job at a slot machine. I ended up getting a job building slot machines at a place called Bally's. And the guy I stayed with, he was from Germany, and he said, "You can stay with me, man. Just pay me something for rent and whatever you keep to yourself." So, but yeah, those are the times I remember in Las Vegas, man. I had good times there, and I feel like, I know it's a city of sin, that's what they say, which it is, but I do feel like, it is a place, what I'm saying, that actually, it is a place that can actually set the stage for starting over in life if you are not just a real big gambler or whatnot. But it was a cool place, man. It was the desert, and I liked it all of that. I would walk the streets every day, and I would go have fun. I would drink. This was the time when I was drinking because back then, this was before I was a Muslim, and 8 years ago I converted to Islam, and I can honestly say, without anybody having any force to make me say anything, as opposed to what media convinces people, I feel like it was the best decision ever to convert to Islam, because it's like when I converted, I started to see the things that were unclean in my life that God showed me that I wanted to do, but I really, between me and not anyone else, between me and God, that I shouldn't be doing. And I just feel like it was, accepting Islam was the best thing in my life, and that's when my life changed. You know what I'm saying? I still struggle with certain things today, but for the most part, I'm a much different person as opposed to back then. Now we're here at the third location, which is the Greyhound bus station, to where I took the following night that I left the apartment complex that we were just at. This is the Greyhound. This is what I took. I took a bus to Las Vegas, and like I said, I did that around about 5 in the morning, and I did that as a way of getting away from everything that shut me down, as far as like not talking to anybody anymore, and really just on the concept of not knowing who I really am, who I really was anymore. So that's why I came here, and I actually took a bus to Las Vegas just to get away from everything that was around me that was here in Houston. You know what I'm saying? There were times where I was actually down here and slept on benches, in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? Not aware of what was going on or who I was. I had a somewhat of a 5% idea of what was going on, but not holistically. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, like I said, I just wanted to, throughout this documentary, the journey of a gifted writer, I want to take you all into a lens of, how my life has been, and also, the conditions that I work under, as far as like, being diagnosed with schizophrenia for the last 17 years. I want people to, those who suffer from, not just suffer from mental illnesses, but, those, I want them to understand that, just to see my life and see that what I've done, like over the past 12 years and written and published 4 books, and just to see, that they can do it too, as if I could do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like people like myself, we need a person that is actually doing that, because the world is so fast-paced. With the so-called normal, everything is fast-paced. Working, going to school, and this and that. Sometimes you don't feel like you have a place in life, if you have a condition like a medical illness. So I want to give people that lens and open the scope and let them see, exactly how I did it. All right, man. So this is the part of my life. This is the part of my life where, things actually started to make sense. And it's gonna sound like an oxymoron because this is when I started, going in and out of mental hospitals. You know what I'm saying? And this is where the part of my life where I had to physically and mentally understand that I'm not just being put away because I'm crazy. I'm being put away because this is a part of my life where God is trying to help me find myself and also help me deal with the issues of being diagnosed as a schizophrenic. You know what I'm saying? So as time progressed, more and more as I started building up and going back to the hospitals, I went from being, forced into the hospitals because I was unwillingly going, you know what I'm saying? And I had been taken there. But this part of my life is where there was a part where I actually started to just admit myself, and I tend to make people laugh because when they tell people, they say, man, how was it like in there? I said, man, I was on vacation. And they think, what? And I'm like, look, this is a place where I go to get away from everything out in the world. And I go and get to be with people that understand me. You know what I'm saying? They understand where I'm coming from. They know me very well. And, but man, it's just so much. I won't be able to get it all in this section right here about, going to, those hospitals, the mental hospital, because, the things that took place there is irrelevant. What's relevant is that I learned to find myself within those moments, and now I know how to cope, and I can actually sit with mothers and daughters and sons, and I can tell them and I can show these mothers and I can show these mothers how to deal with their children who suffer from schizophrenia and mental health issues and stuff like that. Okay, so we're here at the second location, and I just wanted to make sure I get this location because this is the actual psychiatric hospital to where a lot of the pitfalls happened because of me taking ecstasy, a few years back. And but yeah, like I say, I've actually been to this location. I've been here over 22 times throughout the 17 years of my life. And it's not pretty, people, when they see it, they're immediately afraid, but it doesn't really, I'm used to it, you know what I'm saying? And like coming here is like, when it's time for me to go, I admit myself here because hopefully people watching this will help them to understand, like, it's better to admit yourself if something is wrong versus them having to take you in, because you got to understand, you're going here to get help. You're not coming here for them to do anything wrong to you, you know what I'm saying? So that is the one of the most important things that that I wanted to discuss in this documentary. And see what else. I've taken, like I said, I've been there, the Harris County Psychiatric Center. I've been there at least over 22 times, you know what I'm saying? And when people, I don't really, I don't have an issue with being transparent about where I've been in my life, because I feel like the things that you don't talk about, I feel like that is what the world is going to use against you. So I get that out of the way so that way I don't have to worry about there be any holes in my story, you know what I'm saying, in my personality. But, I feel like, being, admitted into these places, I feel like this is the design of God. This is the design that was meant for me to happen to me, because I feel like everybody's life is laid out and designed by God before they were born. That's just my personal belief, and so everything that happens to you, whether you like it, good or bad, is going to happen regardless. And that may be just my opinion as opposed to everyone else, but that's just what I feel. And as far as that, I had to also deal with, learning not learning to slow down with, drinking alcohol, because the thing is that, many people drink alcohol while they take their medicine, but it's really, truthfully, not a good thing. And I'm not just saying that to be vague or anything like that, but, it is something that I had to learn, that it just doesn't balance well. You know, it just doesn't balance well. And I also don't want to leave out the fact that if you are, suffering from mental, issue and health issues, is that you should really, don't listen to me, please. Continue to take your medicine. But if there is a person out there who is, licensed professional herbalist, naturopathic doctor, then, you listen to that person, let them coach you, because they're going to tell you not to just stop taking. They're not going to tell you to just stop taking your medicine. But one thing I do believe is that you should just keep taking it. You know what I'm saying? And and let the scales weigh out each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's just that. And but like I say, this part of my life is just where it was lessons. And um, I in 2010, about 5 years after I left Vegas, I wrote my first book called Smiling Through the Pain. And Smiling Through the Pain is on Amazon, and that's where I put a lot of my what I was going through at the time, during that time in 2010, which was a 2 year depression, of taking medicine and trying to balance out, and dealing with negativity about, because a lot of people, when you're diagnosed with something, a lot of people, especially schizophrenia, a lot of people feel like, yeah, he said he's gonna do this, but I don't know if he's really gonna do that, because some people, not all people, that we have that judgmental, that we have that judgmental lens where we feel like we believe it if we see it, and that's okay. But you shouldn't do that with everything up when it comes to human beings, because you just never know. And that's why I like to talk about the fact that I've written books like Smiling Through the Pain, and my second book, years later, was The Other Side of Ecstasy, which is what is the basis of what this whole my life story is about. And it's also on Amazon. And also I wrote, 2 years after that, I wrote a book. It's a self-help book called The Power of Achievement. And I have to say that is my best work. The Power of Achievement is my best work. And you know, and my last book, my most recent book, is called Black Gold Down Under. And that with that book is when I actually learned how to tell and create stories. I went from writing poetry in 2010 to today, 2021, 2022. Well, 2021, I wrote Black Gold Down Under and published it. And that's when I learned that, hey man, I can tell stories now. There's a fiction story. And and right now, about a year ago, I enrolled into, the Houston Community College, and I started taking English courses. My goal is to get my master's so I can start teaching on the college level, and then go into a PhD where I can actually, teach at a university. But university it's not a big deal. My thing is, I love teaching amateur writers how to write a book. And I have a writing coach program where I'm literally, going above and beyond with the price to help you, you know pay the money where you can learn how to write your book. Because when I first wrote my first book, it was more than just a story. It was more than just poems. It's when God showed me the vision that, I'm gonna break a curse of poverty in my family. I'm gonna break a lot of, I'm gonna be able to set the stage for the family, the wife and children that I have, and being able to leave, copyrights in their name and stuff like that. So it's really, and I talk about that a lot in my book, The Power of Achievement, because that book is basically sums up, anything that you do in this life, if you don't love doing it, you're not going to authentically do it like you mean it, because that is what your purpose is, to do things that you love to do in this life. And I teach that not only can you do what you love doing, but you can get paid for it. It can be, you can turn it into a career. That's what I did with writing. I turned my hobbies into a career, and that's what I want to discuss at this point at this documentary.